What are some dark implications made by movies with seemingly happy endings? They had to change the ending of WALL-E because test audiences, rightfully, felt that the humans were going to die from lacking survival skills. They added in a montage of them successfully colonizing the planet. I always thought the end of the film Taken should have been a shot of the other girl's parents, happily holding signs and balloons waiting for their daughter, because in the movie it seems like they just forget that one of the kidnap victims is repeatedly upped and dies of an overdose in some horrific W house for migrant construction workers. No one seems to really care all that much, and we never even hear from or see anyone try to get in contact with the dead girl's parents. The movie seems to go with the premise that it wasn't that big a deal because she wasn't a virgin. This is the first one that's really thrown me off. Completely forgot about that poor girl. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the 1964 version. They pick up all the toys from the island of misfit toys. If you watch past the ending, during the credits the elves are giving the toys umbrellas and tossing them over the side of the sleigh, presumably down to the homes below. Now, aside from the fact this is enough to give Osher a heart attack, let's assume via the same magic bringing these toys to life they are able to safely make it into the homes. If you continue watching, one of the elves picks up the bird. He looks between the bird and the umbrella, and tosses the bird over the edge without an umbrella. Now, for anyone who actually remembers earlier in the movie, while the toys are listing how they are misfits, the bird says he cannot fly, he swims. I was 10 years old when I noticed that and pointed it out to my mom. Also, rewatching that movie at any point as an adult, Santa is a dong. Santa is a dong. He literally says shame on you to Donna for being Rudolph's father. Your child has a birth defect. Shame on you. Toy Story. Sid now lives with the knowledge that he has been torturing living things and they might kill him. I imagine that would call for therapy and medication. He seems to be pretty upbeat during his brief cameo in 3. In the movie Up, the kid's dad abandoned him again and his only friend is knocking on death's door. Bonus is he gets a talking dog. In the end of Chicken Little Foxy Loxy suffers permanent brain damage and all the other characters celebrate it. We can fix her. Number. She's perfect. Freaking Christ, that's dark. The Ewoks ate the stormtroopers. You do remember that they were going to cook Luke, Han and Chewie, right? Those stormtrooper helmets don't just empty themselves. In Ghostbusters, not all the ghosts are necessarily evil. Look at the scene where the Titanic docks in New York. For example, people seem to be perfectly happy to forget that they were once people, treating them instead like an infestation of cockroaches. Congratulations. There's a very real chance your granddad's spirit is being kept in a little metal prison for eternity, and you can look forward to a chance of the exact same treatment in 70 years. Anytime people experience a whole life which gets wiped away and leaves them in their original state, for example, at the end of Narnia the kids lived full lives into their mid-30s at least, and then stumble back into the real world as children. Same thing in Jumanji and Robin Williams' character, also in the show Star vs. the Forces of Evil to Marco. Imagine growing up into a full adult with full adult experience and thoughts and then going back to being a kid. You wouldn't be able to relate with anyone your age. You wouldn't be given the respect you're used to from being an adult. And you wouldn't be able to enjoy your childhood because you've grown up as a different person that now doesn't exist except in your mind. That crap gives me goosebumps. A donkey fricked a dragon. Shrek. We don't know enough about dragon reproduction to rule out external fertilization of eggs. Still, that involves donkey jacking off on some dragon eggs. Source code. In that movie, the protagonist is repeatedly sent into the body of another man, a school teacher, to relive the last 8 minutes of his life in order to investigate who blew up the train he is on. In the end, he discovers the bomber and stops the train from blowing up. Everyone is saved. He asks out the girl, and, his own body being ruined, continues to live in the school teacher's body. Happy ending. What happened to the school teacher? Another mind took over his body. Imagine this from the perspective of everyone the school teacher knew. He got on a train to go to work and then promptly disappeared. He never contacted his friends or family ever again. His own mother would not know what happened to him, and should they ever meet he will not even recognize her. His personality and mannerisms would all be wrong. The happy ending of this movie is one huge mess of a missing person body snatcher case, and this is just not addressed at all. This is so creepy off-putting and makes so little sense that I get the overwhelming impression that this was some last-minute studio meddling, and not the actual intended ending of the film. Yes, that film was excellent right up to that final scene. If it had just ended on that shot in the train it would have been perfect. One final shot at the simulation. Make the perfect play where everyone's happy. Instead, stupid time travel and personality replacement. Cliched, but the Toy Story franchise continually kicks the can down the road. But what about when Andy grows up? Oh, he donated it to a little girl. Okay, well, then what about when she grows up? Bo Peep got sold at a yard sale, and when the little girl grows up her toys will be donated to the daycare her mother runs, and without lot, so the daycare is a much nicer place. Snowpiercer. At the end the kiddos come out of the train, and they're about to embark on their outside adventure. To show hope, they show a polar bear in the distance, to show there is life on the outside. First thing I thought was, oh dang, those kids gonna get ate. In the book the main character realizes that he infected the whole train with some rare car disease and everyone died as well. So the source material certainly didn't encourage a happy ending. Sing. The mouse, Mike, is caught by the Russian mob bears, but saved by his lady mouse. They drive off, but one bear is seen hanging on the back of the car, grinning evilly. They are never seen in the rest of the movie, and especially in the photo of the reopened theater with everyone from the key roles standing outside. Mike and his lady friend got fricking eaten by Russian mobster bears. No one ever mentions it. My kids watched that movie every day for a week and I noticed that too. I didn't like Mike or that lady mouse anyways. When I was little I had a book called Alamet or the Little Match Girl. The book is about an orphan who sells matches during the time when the lighters were becoming available. She is poor and hungry and it is Christmas time. She strikes her last match and makes a wish for food, presents, and warmth. In the book her wish is granted. Santa Claus brings down a cornucopia of blankets, food, and presents. Disney made an animated short of this and apparently she dies in the end. When I was younger and believed in Santa Claus I simply thought the girl's wish came true and it was a happy ending. Watching the animated short as an adult made me realize that she died, and the story is absolutely heartbreaking. I read a version of it, but it wasn't Santa, it was her grandmother, her very old and dead grandmother, so you could read it as grandma leading the child to heaven. Also, as my sister pointed out when we watched the Disney short, hallucinations are a symptom of hypothermia. Most horror movies. Congratulations, you survived the onslaught, found your true strength, and vanquished the unkillable demonic slasher. Happy ending. Most of your friends are dead. You watch them die horribly. Lots of property has been destroyed, maybe even in your own house. It sure will be hard to get over your PTSD when you're constantly finding fragments of your boyfriend's skull embedded in the bedroom wall. On the bright side, somebody else will probably clean up the carnage because you'll be in prison. It wasn't me, it was the unkillable demonic slasher. Remember that guy who died here many years ago? Well, he came back with supernatural powers and he killed everybody. Not me. See? It all makes sense. Also, unkillable demonic slashers exist. That's why Terminator 2 was awesome. Sarah Connor didn't just forget about the crap she saw. She started getting ready for more. Labyrinth. Sari and Toby get away, but all that does is let Jareth go to some other girl's house and steal the baby there, and he's been doing it for hundreds, if not thousands of years, judging by the number of goblins in the labyrinth. Yeah, but the goblins seem really happy. At the end of The Last Unicorn, Amalthea notes that she is the only one of her kind to know what regret feels like, thus setting her apart from the other unicorns. Amalthea, who went through heck to rescue her sisters, will never be the creature she once was ever again. Still one of the saddest happy endings I can remember. In traditional folklore, centaurs often brutally arped people. In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, when Dolores Umbridge gets dragged off by the centaurs, you just assume they'll do something else with her besides violently arpe her, but anyone who knows the mythology behind centaurs knows better. If you read the book, Ron even makes mention that Umbridge freaks out at the sound of hooves clopping, which Ron mimics and Umbridge, understandably, freaks out at. The brave little toaster. The movie portrays cartoon appliances with adult problems like mental disorders, incarceration, abandonment, and suicide. I'm not an invalid. I like being stuck in this stupid wall. I tease my function. Elysium. Elysium becomes a slum within 30 years. District 9. Sweet. That nice alien managed to escape. Now his entire race with technology much more advanced than ours, knows that we keep their breathing in concentration camps. Oh, and that our scientists are going full Mengele on them. Boy, they sure will be happy to give us a friendly visit. Groundhog Day. This dude has lived in a sandbox world where other people don't seem to pay the consequences for his bad choices for thousands of years, and where all of his operating knowledge is about a small town in Pennsylvania. He knows everything about everyone, and his first choice is to remain there. Sure, he seems altruistic at first, but he's used to having pretty much all the power. I just don't see this going well. He doesn't even seem happy so much as manic at the end. It's like when you start cheating in a video game, telling yourself you'll reload and play for real, but because you've already experienced God mode, it's just not quite as fun anymore. I always thought the end of Titanic was sad for Rose's husband. When he dies and goes to the afterlife of the film, he is going to find the wife that he loved and raised children with dancing with some dude she banged on a boat when she was younger. This is basically the scenario for any person who was widowed, and remarries in real life, even if you believe in an afterlife. Back to the Future is probably the typical one. Yeah, everyone he knew as his parents, his girlfriend, even Biff is essentially a different person, and he to them. Even worse is if those timelines still exist and play out. So his family is filing a missing persons report and his girl is bawling her eyes out while he's riding around in his new truck with people he doesn't even really know. Considering it takes me time for the changes to come through to time travelers, the memories of the old siblings might fade and be replaced with the new siblings, just like the photograph. The kid is going to lose his best friend and father figure in a matter of years. Truman seemed pretty okay with living on a dystopian Earth where people hold him captive for their entertainment and self-created nostalgia. IDK, he is gonna be pretty fricked up regardless. I think he's just happy to know the truth, after so much seemed wrong for so long. Mary Poppins ends in 1910. Those kids have got 2 world wars to get through. Finding Nemo. Awesome. They escaped the dentist and are now trapped in plastic bags in the ocean, waiting to starve to death. Alternatively, the pufferfish can pop his bag, then pop the bags of his friends so that they all escape. How to Train Your Dragon 2 had a seemingly happy ending, but it was only possible because Hiccup was motivated by Stoik's death. Stoik died because Toothless was being mind controlled. For a kids movie, it's pretty dark if you ask me. Thor, Ragnarok. Dude loses his father, his eye, his hammer, his friends and his throne to a long lost sister he never knew he had. He also lost Natalie Portman apparently. The Graduate is a classic example. Sure, they run off together, but the lingering shot of their smiles fading tells us that their youthful spontaneity doesn't guarantee their happiness in the long run. This is the unseen ending to nearly every romance movie. Love isn't about the big gestures, and The Graduate is the only movie that shows you what happens after. The one that annoys me the most, even if I really enjoyed the movie, is Kingsman. The villain freaking succeeded. Imagine living in a world where electronics can cause rage-inducing feelings. People would be abandoning technology in a world that isn't prepared for that. I mean, sure, people can romanticize living in the Wild West or hunter-gatherer, but there's a reason why people weren't considered adults until 13ish. They didn't know how to succeed in that life until 10 years or so of training. Now you're dumping the entire Western technocrat society into such a state. They can't survive. On top of this, if Sam Jackson's penetration into various world leaders is ubiquitous as it seemed, that also means that there was no one left to take command of the clusterfrick. He didn't target just politicians but performers and celebrities, with people jokingly saying how The Rock should run for office and how people praised Schwarzenegger's reign as congressman. It's obvious that charismatic celebrities can use that to obtain positions of power, except they are all dead. Anybody who lived on the East Coast from the Great Blackout 15 years back would remember how tense things were after a few days. Now, instead, there's no one figuring out how to turn the lights back on, plus there isn't a few days of grace before people get violent. The violence has already happened. So, to set the stage, you have a population that just began attacking each other from technology. When they stop and look around, some old rivalries might have been reignited. On top of this, people are going to drop technology and live a life they are not prepared for. There will be no leadership or voice due to their eradication, which means that people are going to have to determine who is a leader. That is rarely peaceful. He hooked up with an adult while he was technically still a minor. Plus he's having to return to his parents who up until now believed he'd been kidnapped by a strange man. Good luck explaining all that to them. Return of the Jedi, not the end of Holocaust, but the fact that there's no government and not really enough military to peacekeep after both sides slug it out during and after Ender. The Senate was disbanded, massive military installations were destroyed, heads of state were killed. That's a lot of instability for people to deal with. I would have imagined that most settled worlds would opt for isolationism, or others would band together for ad hoc alliances to protect each other and their interests. We never learn to what degree the rebels are sanctioned by planetary governors or the disbanded senators, and even if they just sat back down into their Senate seats, would they need to choose a chancellor? Would they even dare to? Whiplash. The final scene looks like the kid has accomplished his dream whilst his dad looked on in amazement. If you delve deeper into it and listen to what the director was going for, then rewatch it, you can really make out that the dad was watching his son go into a deep downward spiral and lose his child. This is backed up by hints dropped in prior scenes that he'd rather die young but be well known over living a long life but never achieve his dream. That film is an amazing piece of artwork. Remy and Ratatouille would be dead shortly after his restaurant opened. Rats only live about 2 years. You have been visited by the happy baby pygmy murder cow. Back away slowly and subscribe quickly to ensure your safety. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.